When I started working nights, the hallway outside room 14 ended with a window and a fire safety board. I know that because I walked it every 2 hours. 3 weeks later, there was a door where no door could possibly fit. And the worst part is, the hotel didn't add it. I worked nights at the Aldgate Suites. Small hotel, 4 floors, 42 rooms, East London. Not glamorous. Burgundy carpets, walls the colour of old paper. The kind of place people book because it's cheap and close to a train line. But the work was quiet, and after my divorce, quiet was all I wanted. My routine was simple. I started at 11. I checked the handover notes. I walked each floor once every 2 hours. Welfare checks, we called them. Then I sat behind the front desk with coffee and a book, and I listened to the building settle. Hotels make noise at night. They click. They sigh. Pipes tick when hot water cools. After a few nights, you stop hearing it. It becomes background. The Aldgate Suites had a clear layout. I learned it fast. Ground floor, reception, breakfast room, staff office, a utility corridor leading to laundry. Floors 1 through 4, guest rooms, linen closet, ice machine, fire exits. On the first floor, near room 14, there was a short secondary hallway branching off the main corridor, barely 10 feet long. It ended at a fire safety notice board and a window that looked out onto a brick wall. I had walked past it every single night. I had never once thought about what was, or wasn't, at the end of it. The first thing I noticed was the smell. A Wednesday, around 2 in the morning. Second walk off the floor. The main hallway was normal, quiet. Carpet swallowing my footsteps. Then I turned into the little corridor near room 14. And it hit me. Damp, old wood. And underneath that, something faintly sweet, like fruit just starting to rot. I checked the window. Closed. No visible leak on the ceiling. I told myself it was an old building doing old building things. I made a note to mention it to the day manager. Then I forgot. 4 nights later, I heard a sound I couldn't place. It was past 3. I was at the desk, half reading, half dozing. The hotel was silent except for the usual settling noises. And then there was something else. Low, repetitive, rhythmic. Like someone slowly dragging a piece of furniture across a floor. It lasted maybe 40 seconds. Then it stopped. No complaints, no footsteps, no voices. I walked the floors. Everything looked normal. That's the thing about night shift. If you don't find evidence, your brain starts inventing explanations, just to feel in control. The third thing was the door. I saw it clearly on a Thursday, around 1 in the morning, on my first walk of the night. I turned the corner into the secondary hallway. Fire safety board on the left, window at the end. And on the right-hand wall, between me and the window, There was a door. Plain, dark wood. No room number. No sign. Just a door where there had never been a door. I stopped walking. I stood there for almost a full minute, trying to make my eyes lie to me. My first thought was practical. Maintenance excess. A cupboard. Something I'd never really registered. But I had walked that corridor every night for 3 weeks. I stepped closer, put my palm on the wood. Cold. Colder than the wall beside it, and slightly damp. Like it held moisture the air around it didn't. There was an old-fashioned keyhole, a tarnished brass ring. I tried the handle. It didn't move. I knocked. Twice. No sound from inside. The hotel gave night staff a MasterCard for the electronic locks, and a small ring of physical keys for older fixtures. The oldest key on my ring. Flat. Slightly tarnished. Fit into the keyhole. I felt it catch. I did not turn it. I can't explain why without sounding dramatic. It wasn't supernatural fear. It was the same feeling you get stepping off a curb without looking. Your body refusing before your mind understands. I took the key out. I wrote in the log, unmarked door, first floor, secondary hall. Query, maintenance. And I went back to the desk. 2 nights later, I heard breathing. I was standing outside the door again, because of course I was. Professional curiosity. That's what I told myself. I leaned in and pressed my ear to the wood. At first, nothing. Just the hush of the hotel and the far-off hum of a light in the main corridor. Then, very faint, slow, rhythmic, in and out, breathing. I stepped back so fast, my shoulder hit the opposite wall. My heart was loud in my chest, like it didn't belong to me. I waited, listened from a distance. Nothing now. Pipes, I told myself. Old pipes can sound like whispers, like breath, like words if you're tired enough. Then came the note. It was slipped under the staff office door. A torn piece of paper. Blue ink. Neat capital letters. Do not open that door. No name. No explanation. I showed it to Sandra, the day manager. She frowned and said she hadn't written it. I showed it to the evening manager. He looked at me like I'd asked something inappropriate. What door? What are you talking about? So I took him upstairs. Fire safety board on the left, window at the end, and the right-hand wall was blank. Smooth plaster. No seam. No frame. No keyhole. No door. He gave me a long look. One that said, "You're tired. You're imagining things." Then he walked away without another word. I stayed in the hallway, alone. I pressed my hand to the wall where the door had been. The plaster was cool and flat, but my hand felt cold anyway. The same cold as before. That night, I started looking through records. Not because I believed in ghosts, because if I could prove it was real on paper, I could stop feeling insane. The on-site files were thin, maintenance logs, old laminated fire maps. I pulled the fire safety map dated 2009, the one posted in that very hallway. The secondary hallway was on it. The window, the notice board, and on the right-hand wall, a small rectangle, unmarked. No room number, no label. A door. Someone had drawn that door on an official map 17 years ago. I photographed it with my phone. At 2 in the morning, I went back up. I didn't look at the wall first. I looked at the floor. The burgundy carpet near the right-hand side was worn differently. A narrow channel in the pile, the width of a door swing. That corridor had been used. Something had opened a door there, again and again, for a long time. I raised my eyes. The door was there again. I had the old key in my hand before I'd decided to use it. My fingers moved like they'd been waiting for permission. The key slid in. I turned it. The lock released with a soft click that felt wrong. The door opened inward. Cold spilled out. Not a draft, not a chill. A deep, settled cold. The smell was stronger too. Damp wood. That faint, rotting sweetness, like something left too long in a closed room. I pushed the door open and looked inside. It was a room. Small. 10 feet square, maybe. No windows. Bare plaster walls, grey with age, streaked with damp. The floorboards looked warped and soft. In the center was a chair. Old wood. High back, worn arms. And a man was sitting in it. He was very still, hands resting on the armrests, head slightly bowed. For a moment I thought he was dead. Then he breathed. I felt the sound more than I heard it. The same slow rhythm I'd pressed my ear to the door to find. "Sir?" I said it, and my voice came out lower than I expected. "Sir, are you all right?" He lifted his head slowly. His eyes were open. Dark. Calm. He looked at me the way you look at weather. Something large you can't argue with. "You shouldn't have unlocked it," he said. "I'm sorry?" My brain still clung to manners, like that would keep me safe. "Not for my sake." He nodded at the key in my hand. "For yours." I asked who he was, how he got in, how long he'd been there. All practical questions. He watched me for a long time. Then he said, "Close the door, son. Look at the back of it." I stepped inside. Just one step, and I turned. The interior face of the door was covered in marks. Dozens, no, hundreds, carved into the wood. Tally marks, names, dates, and near the bottom, cut so deep it split the grain. One sentence. "They come back to the room. They always come back." I looked down at the key in my hand. The brass was warmer than it should have been, like it remembered my skin. My mouth went dry. The cold in that room felt suddenly patient. He spoke again, very quietly. I used to think I was the only one who noticed. He tapped the chair arm once, gentle. But the room finds the ones who notice. I handed in my notice the next morning. I didn't explain why. I told myself I'd never think about that corridor again. But I did. Every day. About the worn carpet. About the fire map. About the carved names. About how many of those names belonged to staff. I went back once, 3 weeks later, in daylight. I stood outside the hotel for 20 minutes and couldn't make myself go in. That was 4 months ago. Last week, I started waking up at 2 in the morning, every night. No alarm, no reason, just awake. I lie in the dark and listen to my building settle. The same clicks, the same distant hum. And I wait for a sound that never quite comes. Last night, I made tea at 2 a.m. I turned off the kitchen light and walked down the hallway to my bedroom. At the far end, where the bathroom door should have been, there was a different door. Dark wood, old brass keyhole. The smell rolled toward me like a memory. Damp wood, and something faintly sweet, like rot starting. I stood there long enough for my brain to build excuses. Bad light, no sleep, a normal door in a normal hallway. Then my phone vibrated, a notification from my photo app. On this day, an old picture resurfacing in memories. It was the fire safety map I'd photographed at the hotel. The same laminated diagram. The same little rectangle on the right-hand wall. Except now, there was a label beneath it. Room 0. My throat went tight. I didn't remember that label being there. I was sure it wasn't. I lowered the phone slowly. The hallway was still. Too still. And from behind the door, slow and quiet, something breathed. I realized my hand was clenched. I opened it. The old flat key was in my palm. I hadn't gone to my pocket. I hadn't decided to pick it up. It was warm, hot enough to sting. On the brass, there was a fresh scratch that hadn't been there before. A single tally mark. They come back to the room. They always come back.